I don't know if you could hear the music, but it's Carnival in town today. So the definition of veganism, which is still a valid definition, at least according to every single goddamn dictionary out there, is that it's merely a diet, abstaining from eating meat, animal products. Where did that come from? But vegans moved the goalposts because, well, we all figured out that veganism ain't healthy, the diet, right? So they had to redefine what it means, and now it's no longer about health, is it? So now the current definition, I guess, one of them, is that it's about minimizing as far as possible, eliminating as far as practicable, not practicable. How can you, first and foremost, understand what's going on? And secondly, how can you clearly and effectively communicate ideas when you don't have full mastery of the language? And you think it's just one word, right? No, it's just one example. Practicable. As far as practicable. The reason why they moved the goalpost, these vegans, is because once again, veganism is unhealthy. And the reason why the definition is so vague and open to interpretation is because veganism doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. As far as practicable, what does that mean? Well, it means whatever the hell you want it to mean, right? And ultimately, what vegans want it to mean is going back to the original meaning of veganism. You can't eat meat or animal products. That's what it means. As far as practicable, I mean, well then, according to that definition, eating meat is vegan, right? I have to eat meat. In order for me to survive, in order for me to be healthy, I have to eat meat. And I know this is true for just about everybody else out there, right? So as far as it is practicable, I can still minimize, eliminate as much as possible the suffering of animals while eating meat, right? I was listening to Bobby, from Bobby's perspective. He had a guest on whose name I can't remember, but the guy's a farmer. And I mean, he sees and understands agriculture the way I see and understand it myself because I'm around it. We don't grow crops because, well, it's shit food by comparison, and it completely destroys the environment. Why would I want to poison myself with that nonsense, right? By eating it and by cultivating it. It's so destructive to the environment, you have no idea. Go listen to what that man had to say, and I co-sign everything he said because, once again, I see it. I live it. Basically, when you're growing these crops, your field is gonna lay? Speaking of the English language, is going to lie fallow. It's not going to be used for pretty long stretches of time. Even here in Ecuador, where the growing season is 24/7, 365, sometimes you just gotta let it rest. And just naturally, between the time of harvest and once again being able to plant something, time elapses and the shit just lies there doing nothing, right? It's like the man described in Bobby's interview, it's like a desert. There's nothing there. When it's not being used, weeds grow. So if you want to maintain it ready for planting again, you gotta either go out there and give me a second. You gotta go out there and either pull all the weeds out by hand or spray it with herbicides to maintain it ready for another planting, growing season. And by doing that, you're gonna kill not only all kinds of insects that live in the ground or happen to sit on these plants while you're doing this, but also little bunny rabbits or small deer or whatever else might show up and try to eat whatever little grain fell onto that ground that's now sprayed with the pesticide, or some of the plants that might be popping up. that you just spray with glyphosate. And then when you finally do have your crop growing there, you gotta keep spraying it too. Constantly killing animals, insects, eradicating them. And then when you go to plow that shit, if you're using heavy machinery, you're killing animals in very, very gruesome way. And by the way, if you've never seen an animal poisoned, especially, these doses are generally to kill insects. And they might do that very quickly, fine. But if a rabbit or another bigger animal eats some of this poisoned grain or grass or whatever, they die slowly. And this is in addition to all the pesticides that are spread, like rabbit poison, in addition to people going out into the fields and shooting down pigeons. I mean, just killing and eradicating wildlife in any way, shape, or form possible in order to protect the crop. 24/7, 365. That field is killing animals, whether something's growing on it or not. It's just killing animals. And like the man was pointing out in the interview, even if you were to just kill the insects, which isn't the case, because you're directly and intentionally killing small animals too. And obviously, you're just destroying ecosystems all over the place with the pollution, right? The runoff and all that other stuff, killing all kinds of animals, small, big, tiny, doesn't matter. But even if you were to just... So pretty over here. Even if you were to just kill insects, those insects are food for birds, lizards, what have you. So you're essentially eliminating their source of food or poisoning it. So when they go to eat that food again, they die, or they simply starve because you just killed all their food. The sort of destruction that commercial agriculture causes is beyond belief. So let's go up there. Let's go sightseeing a little bit. This is literally, I don't know, a 10-minute walk from our house. It's like a national park. Except hardly anybody knows about it. I'm gonna take a little detour because I feel like it, because it's so pretty. The sort of environmental destruction that comes with commercial agriculture, the sort of environmental destruction you're asking for when you're asking for the world to go vegan, is crazy. It's beyond belief even. Vegans don't seem to understand this. They don't know this, or they're pretending they don't know this. They're ignoring this reality. I don't know what it is. And this whole idea that, well, animals are fed grain. Well, yeah, they are, but so are you. And what animals get, which isn't to say that they don't get whole grains, because they also get some whole grains. But what they get primarily is the byproduct of ethanol production, okay? Grain, now this has changed in recent years due to the demand from countries like China with, 1 billion people and stuff like that. But the reason why this industry exists, why it is the size that it is, grain industry, this commercial agriculture, is not just to feed people, because we're feeding people whether directly or indirectly, but also because of ethanol and oil production, not just cooking oil, but paints, industrial oils, right? Oils used to lubricate machines, all kinds of oils, and ethanol, gas, if you will, for your car. And, if you want to sit there and blame cattle or meat eaters for all this grain that's being grown, first and foremost, the reason why we have such huge populations is because of grain agriculture, okay? And back in those days, 10, 13, 15,000 years ago, I gotta watch my step here. Animals weren't fed grain, okay? The reason why grain agriculture exists is because of human beings. It's because of our artificial diet, okay? So, it's silly to me how you want to blame animals, something that's so natural, that's always existed, that's always been part of the ecosystem. You want to blame animals for environmental destruction when it's the addition of plants to the human diet that not only created this environmental destruction by being grown in the first place for human consumption, but also because it allowed our populations to skyrocket in numbers, requiring more of this grain production. That's what's contributed to this so-called overpopulation, if you have a problem with that, dear vegan, right? Because you're always talking about it. That is what's contributed to these perceived problems that vegans have with human beings on this planet, right? It's exactly the diet that you eat that has contributed to it first and foremost, because it allowed for our populations to explode, thereby necessitating even more grain production. And because it made sense to feed cattle some grain, they got the byproduct. After we made we extracted oils from the grain, they get primarily the leftovers. That's what they get. Now in recent years, yes, because of the high demand for soy from China, feeding their pigs with that stuff mostly, yeah, that has helped to maintain and elevate the price of these grains, and it's definitely supporting this industry, right? It's definitely a big boost and stimulus and an incentive for producers all over the world to grow soy. No doubt about it. But once again, understand the origin, why this industry was created in the first place, and how it was used to, because it made sense, to create this vicious cycle that exists here and now. But ruminant animals, grass-fed, pasture-raised ruminant animals, and even pigs that are raised on pasture, and even chickens, not to say that they don't ever eat any grain, because they always will get at least a little bit, but that could fall on my head. It's getting ready to fall. Every time I come up here, I'm always kind of in awe and distracted, so deal with it. I'll probably jump cut a lot, save some of your time, even though I'm having fun myself. Oh, and insofar as, look guys, we're in a subtropical climate, alright? I've been walking for about 20 minutes now, and this is the first food I came upon. That's, there were some citrus trees or some other fruit trees imported from, Asia, North America, other places, Africa, that are not native to here, right? But people lived here for thousands of years. Who knows how long, really. And yeah, they grew corn, obviously, eventually they figured out how to do all that. But when they lived in these subtropical, seasonal deserts, woods, if you will, you think they sustained themselves on this and this only? It would have been impossible. And these berries only grow like once a year, essentially, for a few months. Maybe on this creek, they'd be here year round because they get water year round. But not every day out of the year either. Sorry, I'm eating. Oh hey, my first mukbang. Or is it? Anyway, it's hotter than shit today. Yeah, there's no way you could have sustained yourself. Let go. Eating these berries, right? Or there are other fruit that grow here that are very small and delicious. But there's no way in hell you could have been able to sustain yourself eating just plants. No way. So if that's the case, and it's like talking to children sometimes, you know, and it just boggles the mind how people still don't get this. Obviously, we had to eat meat to survive. There's quite a bit of it still running around. So, if our diet consisted primarily of animal products prior to agriculture, which only really happened a few thousand years ago, most places in the world, then obviously we evolved to eat what we ate, right? Otherwise we wouldn't have survived. So we're adapted, we have to be logically adapted for eating a carnivorous diet. Just because we eat some plants, well, you don't think wolves eat these? You don't think foxes eat these berries? Of course they do. Where else would they get their antioxidants from? Meat. Life is... What? What do you want? You want a berry? You think wolves eat berries? Come on, boy. You know you want this. Yeah, see? More? No? It's not that into him. He'll eat some. One of our other dogs will, because we have these growing on our property, she'll actually just go up to the bush and eat them herself. So yeah, I'm in a subtropical area. There's water, at least here, year-round. This area is essentially untouched by people, right? Look at that magnificent waterfall. You really couldn't sustain yourself. There's another native fruit. It's a relative of a blueberry. It grows roughly the size of a grape, right? It won't be ready for another 2-3 months, and then it'll be here for a few days. If you could get to it before all the bugs and squirrels and rabbits or what have you get to it, you know? You couldn't have sustained yourself here. And once again, this isn't a harsh Northern European or even Central European climate with a very short growing season. The growing season here is 24/7, 365. There's another wavia, they call it, but it doesn't have any fruit on it. And how many calories did I just eat? 7? Well, might have to get my machete. Maybe not. God damn it. This is why I bleed every day. Why I need lots of iron. Oh yeah, you don't want to be here when it's raining. I'm just saying. You really don't want to be here. Whoa! When's that one falling? Yeah, right. Anyway, let's keep trekking. It's gonna rain soon, so I'm gonna have to book it out of here. Yeah, we did not evolve eating planties. I mean, we did as well, but our primary source of food, even in the tropics, had to have been meat. There's just no two ways about it. And if that's what we ate, that means we adapted to eating that. And if you study our physiology, there's no way to make any other conclusion. But maybe that's another video. It's a medicinal plant. And there's lots of them here, but it's not food. Food is not medicine. Medicine is not food. It's another video. How a lot of you get it just so fucking wrong. It pisses me off. Medicine is medicine. Food is food. Don't get the two twisted. They're completely different. Anyway, there is a way, back to the topic at hand, going on these long ass tangents. There is a way to eat meat, and according to the current definition of what veganism is, there is a way to eat meat and be more vegan than your average vegan or vegan wannabe, I don't know. Because if you eat grass-fed ruminant animals, pasture-raised pigs and chickens, which is doable, it's expensive, and I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. I'm not the virtue signaling retard here. That's not me, alright? But that's a fig tree, except the figs that it makes are like this size. Only once a year do you get them. They're mostly seed. They're not very palatable, and if you eat too many of them, you get a tummy ache. Chimpanzees don't. You do, because you're not a fucking chimp. Oh shit, almost died. So, you know, if you eat grass-fed, ruminant, happy animals, they're pretty happy. You're actually minimizing animal suffering more than your average vegan, you know, especially if you source them locally, than this average vegan that, it's a cool spot here, that goes to the supermarket to get all of their food, and the food is shipped from all over the place, and the production of this food necessitates the deaths of countless number of animals and little critters, what have you. So yeah, you could, in accordance with the current definition of veganism as it is presented to us by the average vegan in YouTube, on social media, you could be more vegan than vegans if that's the way you choose to eat, because, you know, you care about your health, you have the money, and you also care about the environment. And if you eat nothing but meat or animal products, you're on the strict carnivore diet, maybe even with a few plants, I mean, your environmental impact is tiny. You're actually contributing to rebuilding soil, fostering, however artificial, ecosystems with lots of, you know, life that wasn't there before. Because these grass pastures they foster life. They support All those little birds, lizards, bunnies, insects, all these wild animals that get destroyed during every cycle of the crop production that I just mentioned. When you have a grass pasture or a wooded pasture, forest, what have you, what you're actually doing is, especially if you take some of this land that was destroyed by commercial agriculture and you restore it to pasture, not only are you allowing for that land to once again become, you're making it once again fertile where you can, if you wanted to, grow grain on it once again. Look at that magnificent waterfall. I feel like taking a bath, to be honest. It's so hot, humid. It's gonna rain. Not only are you rebuilding the environment, rebuilding the soil, you're actually providing an ecosystem for all these critters escaping from the cornfield, if you will. You are. Yeah. Ain't this cool? Isn't this fucking cool? Come on. You're creating essentially a habitat for wildlife. Just because you have cattle there, so what? How are you destroying it? You're not. And we're experiencing exactly that with our property. Because what it used to be is it was used to grow corn. And so a lot of it during the dry season would sit abandoned essentially, with bare ground, eroding, you know, not much growing there, not really supporting much animal life. Oh, this is getting a little too difficult, at least with camera in hand. So we're not gonna go there. We'll let Atlas hopefully feed himself, if he can. Find something to eat. I ain't talking about berries. But so this property that we're on, that we purchased, a couple of properties, you know, we're used to grow corn. Maybe they use chemicals, I'm not sure. They told us they didn't, but I don't know. But anyway, when they got done growing corn, maybe instead of spraying, they would just burn the place. They would burn everything because that helps to control pests. And with it, it kills snakes, crabs. There are crabs on our property, birds that nest on the ground. I mean, all kinds of rabbits or kind of rat-like creatures. I don't even know what half of them are. Possums. I've seen deer tracks on our property before. The fox will come around once in a while, eat one of our, well, used to, not with Atlas around, but we've had a fox kill 17 chickens in one night before, so long time ago. Look at all these bird tracks. What's this? Something was eating some kind of fruit up here and left these, whatever they are, looks like seeds. I hope you guys can see this stuff. Oh look, what is that? Some kind of bird dung. I wouldn't be surprised if bats slept here. They probably do. Anyway, there's lots to eat over here, and I know I'm all over the place, but I'm all over the place. Fuck me, man. I just love where we live. Are you having fun? Did you find anything? So, there wasn't much wildlife on our... What, dude? What are you so excited about? He just smells all kinds of animals. There wasn't a lot of wildlife on our property, and since we moved in, we installed a sprinkler system. And no, we don't waste any water. Water comes from the river. We spray the land with it. A lot of it evaporates, creates clouds, and then it, rains back down to Mother Earth. Or it goes into the water table and goes into the river below. Back into the river, recycled, right? Filtered through the sand and what have you. Or it feeds the plants and, they perspire it when they die. It goes back up into, and then makes these clouds, and it comes back down to earth again. So no, we're not wasting any water. We use a lot of it from the river, but it's returned into the environment, right? It's not wasted. We don't pollute it. We don't do anything to it. We just use it how nature would use it, right? So we installed a sprinkler system, and we've been able to plant... Is that a parrot? Something. We've been able to plant, not only the types of grasses that produce and can support a lot more biomass than all these native kinds, because now that there's water there, we could support more life, more biomass. We've been able to plant trees. We've planted hundreds of trees, and we're seeing all kinds of wildlife show up. Birds we've never seen before, mostly birds, because if there's rabbits or other little critters, then... But hey, I'm helping to feed a wolf, if you will, right? And they can't kill everything. Okay, you want to go right now. So not only are we reforesting the area, essentially adding more biomass, and we don't use any chemicals, obviously. It adds to the biodiversity. We have all of a sudden all these insects, not all of a sudden, don't get me wrong, but there's all these insect species we've never seen before. There's more of other insects. There's all kinds of critters, snakes, lizards. There's crab that crawls from the river, I guess, and crawls up to our property. There's all kinds of stuff. Frogs, toads. I mean, at night, I'll shoot a video at night on our property one of these days, and you'll hear it. It's alive. Not just plant life, but animal life, right? Something that wasn't there before when the property was used to grow corn. And now that we raise goats, primarily, some chickens too, it's a lot more biodiverse, and it's a lot better for the environment. If you care about this sort of thing, I don't really care about the environment per se. I just want to live in a healthy one. So the environment immediately around us, I'm going to do everything I can to make that what I want it to be. But I'm not telling anybody to do what I do. Do whatever the hell you feel like doing. I hate this whole yapping, all this virtue signaling and not doing anything. I am infinitely more vegan than all these vegans that come around and call me a murderer. Infinite number of times more vegan than any of you fucking clowns. Because it takes a very small number of animals to feed me. The animals that I consume a minimal amount of grain. They eat some corn, but not a lot. Very little corn. So they're mostly grass-fed animals that contribute to maintaining, a healthy environment. The animals that I eat. And I eat animal products all day, every day. I eat some plants too, don't get me wrong. Stuff that just grows around here, or some of the stuff that my neighbor grows organically. Man, that woman fucking busts her ass to be able to grow kale and all this other shit that all these clown ass foreigners want to eat, and they want it to be organic. So, you know, she does what she has to do. What do you got? So I'll eat some of that too, don't get me wrong. Not fucking kale. Forget about it. Some lettuce here and there. Very little. We don't hardly make any trash. Everything, not everything, but most of our so-called byproducts or waste products go back into the ground. They get recycled. We consume minimal amounts of plastic. Like, I would say that our impact on the environment is a net positive, and I'm not trying to virtue signal here at all. I don't give a shit what you do. Do whatever the hell makes you happy, right? I don't care. I really don't. But I just get sick and tired of all these vegans coming around here and talking to me about the environment, when I appreciate the environment a lot more than most of these virtue signaling cucks. Let's just call them what they are, man. Cucks to the New World Order, vegan agenda. Nonsense. It's completely and utterly destructive to the environment. And I'm not saying that the way we do animal agriculture, the way you do animal agriculture in the United States, because the overwhelming majority of the world does it differently, and you're still misrepresenting the way it's done in the United States or the Western world, because most cattle, for most of their life, live on grass, are grass-fed. Chickens, pigs, different story, I get that. When that one falls, that's gonna be fun. Oh, I forgot to show you guys the orchids. Maybe next time. So, you know, I just get annoyed, and I'm offended by all these vegans coming around virtue signaling when you're not doing anything. You're not doing anything. Your activism is the laziest form of activism ever. You choose, the only thing that you're doing is you're choosing to do something else. And you're making yourself feel good about it. You're telling yourself that you're actually doing something, when you're just displacing the pain and the hurt and the destruction. You're contributing, I would say, to more environmental destruction than the average meat eater. Definitely more than the average carnivore dieter, even if they eat grain-fed, grain-finished beef. Their impact on the environment is far less than yours, because you depend on all these exotic foods being shipped in from all over the world. And if you don't think the transportation industry is the biggest polluter on the planet after the military-industrial complex, then we don't even need to be having a conversation about saving the environment or saving the planet or saving the animals. You're a fucking clown, man. I got water in my shoe. You know what? Maybe I'll just take them off. Ground myself a little bit. Maybe I'll calm the fuck down. Ow. My virgin feet. They're not that soft. Anyway. You know, the average carnivore dieter, especially someone who eats locally sourced, grass-fed animals, is doing far more for the environment, and their impact on the environment is probably a net positive, at least insofar as their diet's concerned, right? I mean, we all drive, we all need to go from here to there, using automobiles, so on and so forth. We all consume oil, right? Petroleum. So it is what it is. But as far as our diets are concerned, the average carnivore dieter is far better for the environment and the animals than your average vegan. Now, look, if you're a vegan and you have your own garden and you're able to supply a significant portion of your food from your veganic, organic, I don't give a shit if you use goat shit to fertilize your plants, right? You're still a vegan in my eyes. And your impact on the environment, you know, and animal suffering, shit, you could actually do better for the environment than the average carnivore dieter. I don't know. I don't care to do these, like, engage in these spitting contests and do these calculations. If you care for the environment as a vegan, and you say that you do, then you need to start acknowledging the fact that lots of animals die in your food production. Lots of them, okay? Unless you're growing it yourself or getting it from someone that grows it and doesn't use pesticides, doesn't, destroy the environment. But none of you do this. None of you do this. There might be a select few, but I guarantee you that select few are the least virtue signaling people out there. I guarantee you that. It's the people that ain't doing shit for the environment, and on some level they realize this. It's those people who virtue signal, because on some level the guilt is getting to them. That's what's happening. They know that they're destroying the environment. They know that their diet kills lots of animals, directly and indirectly, and they just want to virtue signal and make themselves feel better. Okay, because the people that are actually doing something about the things that they perceive as a problem in this world, those people don't need to virtue signal. Those people don't need to do any of that. Why? Because they reap the benefits of this behavior more often than not, because they move to places that are more pristine, more natural, more beautiful, and they appreciate those places, and they do everything to not contribute to the destruction of this fucking natural beauty, right? And the average vegan virtue signaler cuck is nothing but a fucking consumer who is not doing anything for the environment. They're not doing anything for any animals. If you think you're saving some animals, show me where these animals are. Where are they? Where are they? And a few of you clowns with your animal sanctuaries. Oh, so maybe you got them off death row into life in prison. Did you ask their permission? Give me a fucking break. The hypocrisy of these sanctuaries is just fucking retarded, man. Anyway, this is why I have a problem with vegans, because I have to deal with this shit in real life. Oh, and by the way, yet another ex-vegan came by my wife's table at the farmer's market asking to buy some eggs, because our eggs are the shit. And, well, her diet, she realized, was slowly fucking killing her. But she was the type of person that would just call you evil, call you a bad person, virtue signal up the fucking ass, talking about how what you're doing is unethical, how dare you do it to these animals, and just humbled. Every single goddamn one of them will eventually be humbled, and they will show up at my wife's farmer's market table, or your farmer's market table, or you see them at the supermarket or the steakhouse consuming meat and animal products. All of these fucking clowns will one day be humbled. All of them. Every single goddamn one of them. Except the dishonest ones that will pretend like they're still vegan because, well, it makes money on YouTube. And they'll pretend like they're raising their kid vegan. They'll pretend like they're not eating eggs. And they'll pretend like they're not taking creatine. They'll pretend like they're not taking fish oil supplements. Like they're not making a monthly trip to the fucking Brazilian steakhouse. They'll pretend they're not doing any of this stuff. And they'll hype up this vegan diet like it's some great fucking miracle. When we all know, all of us know it's the death fucking diet. I don't give a shit who you are. You're lying. If you say otherwise, you're just some clown that became vegan 3 months ago and you feel great because you took out all the junk food out of your diet, you stopped smoking, you started exercising, and you're doing all these other things that are beneficial to your health, and you're giving the vegan diet credit for that. When that shit is slowly fucking killing you. And you'll realize this in due time. All of you will. I don't give a shit. Unless you're completely and utterly detached from nature, and I'm talking about your own body, and you don't recognize the signals, you don't recognize the cries that your body is sending you, and you're gonna be like that woman, Dr. Dre or something, whatever her name is, looking at herself in the mirror, trying to apply all these fucking skin creams and all this other shit to make herself, you know, feel and look good, when she knows, on some level, she recognizes that she looks like death. Instead of going to the root of the problem, she thinks she could put a fucking cream on her face, and with animal products in it, by the way, retinol creams, and acting like, pretending, lying to herself and everybody around her that she's A-okay when we all can see she's dying. But I think on some level, all these vegans realize that this shit ain't right. These aren't honest people. That's why I say this. Because how can you sit there and deny the truth of all the deaths of all these innocent, if you will, not my lingo, animals, in the production of your food, while at the same time attacking people for eating 1 cow a fucking year, 2 animals a year, when the production of your food kills, I don't know, millions, billions, trillions. Who the fuck knows? Who the fuck cares, right? Who cares? The vegans certainly don't. So, I know I've been ranting a lot, but sometimes you just gotta do it. And I'm sick and tired of all these clowns pretending to care about the animals, pretending to care about the environment. If you truly cared as a vegan about these animals like you say you do, Atlas. Holy shit, where is he? He's up there somewhere. I hear you. Come on, boy. I'm gonna leave you. Anyway, these dogs are smarter than we give them credit for being. He'll find me. You know, I'm just sick and tired of all these people pretending to care about the environment, pretending to care about the animals. But when they're faced with reality, they're being asked to live up to their own fucking standard. They can't do it. They're not willing to do it because it's not practicable. I'm sorry. Who we are as a species, in order for us to survive, and I'm not saying that we couldn't do better. Obviously we can. I'm trying. But no matter what, our existence will be ensured. The only way it will ever be ensured is by destroying life. But at the very least, there he is, the farmer that raises animals, at the very least, that farmer doesn't just destroy life, but he's also creating life, creating sentience, bringing sentient beings, if this is what you care about, into existence. Yes, ultimately, that person will kill them, and we will eat them. What's up, buddy? There's no doubt about it. That's what's going to happen. But at the very least, that person is also ensuring the existence of these various species of animals, domestic or not. And obstacles everywhere. And, you know, it's not just about killing, it's about creating life and then killing it, because our existence necessitates this. If you're eating a strictly vegan diet and virtue signaling like you're not killing anything, how deluded can you be? How retarded can you be? Your diet, because you have to import all these various foods and vitamins and different cofactors and everything from all over the world. Your fucking diet is the most destructive diet to the planet. Just because they didn't conduct all the studies necessary to adequately and precisely measure the impact of your diet, that doesn't give you exemption from fucking logic. It's not that difficult to figure this shit out. But you gotta get out of your stank-ass studio apartment, all right? You gotta get out your mama's basement. You gotta get off that fucking computer once in a while. And you gotta go out into the world that you love to talk about so much but don't know anything about. You gotta get out there and you gotta see it for what it actually is. All of it. And most of you vegans have no interest in that. You don't have any interest in nature. You don't have any interest in animals. You just want to get on your mama's computer in your mama's basement and you want to call people names because you're fucking depressed. You're sad. Your life fucking sucks. All you do is play video games all day and you ain't worth a good goddamn. You're a useless fucking eater. And if history is to repeat itself, we all know where you're going.